Hello, hello, hello. Today is Thursday, January 13th, 2022. And welcome to Reflections and Encouragement with Mike Brown. I'm Mike Brown. This is a special edition of the show. I had one guest previously on my show. It was my mom back in May of 2021. And I thought, who better to have on the show for my second ever guest than my dad, Elder Charles L. Walton. So welcome to Reflections and Encouragement, Dad.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I'm
Yeah,
looking
it's,
for
it's
this. I've been waiting and looking forward to doing this with you.
all right. Well, you look sharp, suited and booted. You got the goatee going.
Well, that was all for you. That was all for you. I said I'm gonna be on Michael Anthony Brown's reflection. I
Well,
got a
people know that's where I got my beard from, so people can see you have the beard, and that's where my beard came from. I have never been able to connect though for the full goatee. My mustache and beard do not connect, so I've tried many times.
but you look nice. You look
Well,
nice.
thank you. So do you. Well, this is episode 90 of the show, and I was like, this is a special one because number one, you're here, one, but two, because there's been a lot that has transpired
Yes.
since the last recording. I think my last show was December 11th, and I typically record these each week, but I've been honestly just giving myself a lot of grace and having mercy on myself for not being able to do it. There's been a lot going on. And so
Yes.
as I think about the last 30 days, even since December 11th, there's a lot going on with work in terms of my day job and my fundraising role at Notre Dame that I'm blessed to get to do. We had a lot of activity on that front. I ended up having my sixth seizure on December 17th. It was, my wife says it was the worst one to date. And so I've been kind of working through that and working with the docs and doing other things to kind of get really this epilepsy under control. Go ahead.
And,
Sorry.
and praying through it.
And praying through it. Absolutely. And I absolutely appreciate, I know, Dad, you've been praying daily. I
Yeah.
know on
Pray
it.
with you.
Yes. Yep. And I appreciate that. And there's others they've been sending a lot of they've been praying and sending encouraging messages as I've kind of been going through this journey of working through all this. And it's been, I appreciate everybody's support through it. And I know it's going to be okay. I know I posted that everything's going to be all right because I believe it. I know that there's a purpose for me to be here on this earth. And there's some work that needs to be done. And I'm, you know, honored to have the opportunity to do it. So by the grace of God, quite candidly.
And
So
things
yeah.
that you've been doing.
Yeah, it's been so outside of the Notre Dame stuff that I do and dealing with epilepsy, trying to raise a 4-year-old daughter, working with family, the whole nine. My mom was actually in town, and I had my in-laws in town. But on top of all that, it was an
Reconnecting
absolute.
with your dad.
I'm sorry, what happened?
Reconnecting with your dad.
Reconnecting with my dad, and that's been a beautiful journey. And we'll talk more. Really, well, you know what? We'll talk about that a little bit now if you're okay with that, because
I'm
I think okay. I don't think. Well, some people who may be catching this and catching this reflection for the first time, what they may not know is uh, this reflection. Quite honestly, 2.5 years ago, and this conversation probably would not have happened. And the short end of it is there were some things as I was growing up. I was mainly raised by my mom, and while you and I have been in contact and in touch my whole life, I was primarily raised by my mom's side of the family, and there were just some things that I felt could have probably been done differently in terms of our engagement, basically through, was it 40 years of my life?
yes. Yes.
40 years. And I thank God, Dad, and I really do. I thank God, and really it was my wife. My wife, she's the one that encouraged me. She said, if you have certain feelings about your dad, you should talk to him about it. And I held it inside of me for a long time. And then we had that lunch in Chicago in 2019. And that lunch, Dad, it changed my life. It it changed my life. And so without that conversation, we honestly likely wouldn't even be here today. This project, quite honestly, with Lil Netta and Lil Netta Robinson Gifts of Love program, at least what's transpired around it, so probably wouldn't have happened, at least in the way that it's transpired so far. Who knows?
I agree with you because it also changed my life, helping me and being able to reconnect with you after so many years, so many missed years, um, but still loving you, but not being there all the time.
Right.
I had a chance to be at your graduation, your high school graduation with honors, and felt so proud. But um, we haven't really had that opportunity to really connect like we have done these last 2 years.
Right. Right. And it's been just an absolute blessing, and I'm grateful for it. And I love you as well. And it's
Too.
yeah, I people a lot of people ask about, and really the main one of the main reflections around what's transpired this last, well, really not two years, but over the last year, we've been working on uh, a book called Little Netta's Gift.
Yes.
And Little Netta's Gift is a story about uh, Jeannetta Nicole Robinson, who is my cousin, my dad's niece.
Yes.
And the story is centered around her act of giving and kindness that that happened on her birthday when she turned 6. So, Dad, I'll let you kind of
Yeah.
tell the story in your way, and then yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah. I want to say little Jeannetta um, was my niece, of course, my sister's daughter, and she was named after my mother, your grandmother, Jeannetta Simpson Robinson, who was a community activist, social worker, a civil rights leader, done many things, the founder of Career Youth Development that lasted 44 years, um, helping thousands and thousands of people, not just youth, but adults and families throughout our communities. And little Netta was just such an inspiration because her birthday is on December 27th. Of course, you know that's 2 days after Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she would have uh, Christmas gifts, come from downstairs, and get her Christmas gifts. And then 2 days later, we'd have a birthday party
Yep.
uh, for her, and she'd get more gifts. And this went on, and um, she was the sweetest little girl. I know people say that everybody can say that about their children. She went beyond uh, goodness in the sense that the story I'm gonna tell you when she was, well, you already know the story, but what I'm telling the people on her 6th birthday, she had a birthday party, of course, after Christmas. Got her Christmas gifts, got her birthday gifts, had children over, me, my mother, and my grandmother, Coretta Mother Freedom Simpson, who lived to be 103 years young,
Yeah.
um, was all there along with a little poodle, Fifi. Uh,
Fifi.
you can't forget her. The children were here, right here in this house, having the birthday party. And when it was ending, children were leaving with toys. And we asked little Netta, why are these children leaving with your toys? And she said that they told her that they didn't receive anything for Christmas. She says, I have Christmas toys and birthday toys, so I gave them my Christmas toys. And that brought tears.
Yeah.
Uh, we were just awed, and the feeling that of love and sharing coming
Yeah.
from a 6-year-old,
A 6-year-old, Dad. A 6-year-old.
not not being instructed to do so,
Right.
just something that she decided on her own to share and show love. That's why we call our new program Little Jeannetta Robinson Gifts of Love, because a gift is a love, is showing love to someone. Um, we started, well, tragedy struck.
Yeah.
Should I go through that? Uh,
Yeah, you know what, Dad? Yeah, I would say let's talk about what transpired, and I would even say it'll be good to talk about what happened after it, right? And
yeah,
then we can lead into
yeah,
what we can lead into then what took place in 2020
yeah,
with the highway, and go into that. So yeah, if you don't mind.
sure. Um, well, it was her. She was 9 years old, and tragedy struck. Her mother, my sister, uh, and little Netta. We call her Netta. Little Netta and her mother were brutally murdered by an ex-boyfriend that was about to go to jail, and he said, "I don't want to share you with anyone else," so he actually killed them. Now she was 9 years old, and my sister was 25. Of course, this struck the family, it struck the whole community, because everyone knew my mother, my grandmother, and myself, uh, as we are people that were well known throughout the community because we've been helping the community for so many years. And so it became nationwide news uh, of what happened. Now, my mother is always an inspirer. She was always, the glass is always half full. Um, she was one that says, don't send him to jail. Don't send this kid to jail. Give him to me. I'll take care of him.
Right.
Uh, well, a year later, my mother came up with the idea in remembrance of little Jeannetta. She said, why don't we give away toys to children after Christmas? And so she started what was called, and she wasn't one short with titles.
No.
Are you ready for this? She started the Little Jeannetta Robinson Toys for the Children that Santa forgot, but God remembered through your gifts of love. Yeah, that was the actual title. And what we would do is on the 27th, on her birthday, is give toys to children that didn't receive any for Christmas. And it started out at Career Development, CYD, along King Drive and Clark here in Milwaukee. It started out with about 100 children. Then it grew 200, 400. We got to, it was over 500 children, and we couldn't sustain it at our location. It was too small. So my mother talked with the public schools, and we got North Division to
Yeah.
allow us to use their cafeteria. You've been there, Michael.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, it got so. Bottom line, to finish this, we started serving children, and it got to be about 2,000 children.
Yeah.
serving on the 27th in remembrance of little Jeannetta Robinson, little Netta. And so that continued. It started back in 1985
85.
and went all the way to 2013, I believe.
13.
Yeah, to 2013. That's how long it went. Now, in that time, um, at when my mother passed away, when Jeannetta Robinson passed away, at the funeral services, the pastor, Bishop Cedric Daniels, the pastor who gave the eulogy, he said there ought to be a highway named after Jeannetta,
Mm-hmm.
something remember that goes through our community.
Hmm.
And he says that ought to happen. Well, it was my turn. And so it took me a couple of years, but I got together some people and politicians, and we actually put the proposal in for Jeannetta Robinson to have a section of the highway on I-43. Now it went through the state representatives and they passed it. Then it went to the Senate and they passed it. But meanwhile, let me tell you this though. I would take busloads of people to Madison
Right.
uh, in support of this happening, in support of them naming, and Governor Doyle was the governor then, of them naming this section of highway after Jeannetta. Now, after it went to the Senate, they passed it. They even introduced me, and I got to wave to all the senators. um, they passed it, and it went to the governor's desk.
Yep.
And Michael, you were there,
Yep.
uh, and your
20,
brother,
2010.
2010, and Governor Doyle signed the bill, signed the bill making it a law that the section of highway on I-43 from North Avenue to Keith
Mm-hmm.
Avenue would be designated as the Jeannetta Simpson Robinson Memorial Highway. So there, it was named. It was in
Oh,
the books. You could get a map, and on the maps where it says special places, Jeanetta's name would be there for the Jeannetta Simpson Robinson Memorial Highway. The only thing missing during that time was an actual sign, the signage to be put up. And um, we were trying, they said there was a rule that no memorial signs could be put up on Wisconsin highways. DOT was fighting us, but continued and continued. And I want to thank Senator Lena Taylor.
yep.
She was highly instrumental in pushing and not forgetting. And this was years later. We moving up to last year, wasn't it?
2020. It was 2020. September
20,
17th, 2020 was when, yep.
2 years ago. Lena Taylor, Senator Taylor, called me and asked me. She said, "I'm going to get them to do the signs." She said, "What day should we pick to have the signs put up?" And I says, "Well, why not make it on Jeanetta's birthday?"
Yep.
And Jeanetta's birthday is September 17th, 1940. But so we decided to have a special signage to have them put it up and have a special showing on September 17th, 2020. And it happened. The DOT came and put up one sign, and the other sign we had a special program at the Northcott Neighborhood House
Mm-hmm.
where even dealing with COVID at this time,
Right.
only have a certain amount of people, but they were distanced. All the seats were 6 feet apart, and we still managed to get 100 people in the gym for this special occasion. And again, I'm grateful to Senator Lena Taylor for pushing this forward and not forgetting about this. And we unveiled the sign. Then we drove to the highway.
Yep.
Because the DOT took the sign, took it on the highway right off of North Avenue, and they were putting it up. And we drove over and got on the freeway and got off. And we actually were there and took pictures of them putting it up. And we got under the sign ourselves and took pictures.
Yep.
Now, you know, we're not supposed to do this, but
right.
It was a moment in history because no woman, no black American, African American had ever had a highway named after them in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So this was actually history making.
So she was it's the first woman and first person, like first black person, period.
Right. First person.
Yeah.
If you go throughout Wisconsin, you'll find there are no signs, there are no sections of highways named after anyone. There are only direction signs, exit signs, speed signs, mile markers, things in that such. But you don't have anything that says Charles Walton Highway or Michael Brown.
I was gonna say, you putting a bid in for Charles Walton Highway?
No. I also said Michael Brown too.
Yeah, that's true. I
know. But from that, and that happened, then you and I were talking, Michael.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. So we were in touch, like, because of our conversation from 2019,
yes.
And through the pandemic, we stayed in contact and FaceTime and all that through 2020. So I didn't make it to Milwaukee for that particular ceremony on the 17th of September, 2020, but I watched it online. It was on Facebook Live, and so as I watched that ceremony, that then led me to just think about, how amazing and incredible, great she was, Jeannetta was, right? And so I was then looking at her history again and looking at all the things she had done. And I was in the middle of my own kind of personal journey leading up to this moment. But I was inspired, to be honest with you, by this highway and this dedication. And yeah, you and I we were in conversation that whole time. And then I was actually training for a half marathon. It was gonna be my first half marathon. It was going to be in October, and on September 19th, which is 2 days after that event, I went for I believe it was a 10-mile run. It was one of my longer runs, and after reading more about my grandmother's history, knowing, of course, the story. I've heard the story of little Jeannetta many times, and been to the event. After all that, that's when on the 19th of September, when an idea to do something to kind of recognize, celebrate little Netta's memory, even Cheryl's memory, and Jeannetta, as well as Mother Freedom Simpson.
Yes.
That's kind of where the idea of possibly a book and something with a program. And that's where we then, it was actually you, me, Terrence, and Chuck, started talking about what to do, what could we do. And that's kind of what jump-started everything. I think I text you.
You had so many ideas.
A lot of ideas.
Got jump-started.
Oh, trust me. Yeah, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
We had to
It
start with
made it,
something.
it made it from Indiana, Milwaukee to the world.
Yep, it's happening.
It's
Only a
happened.
matter of time.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
and
a
it's
matter of time.
all
Yeah.
those things. So we
So,
talked about the book, which you started, and you found people, illustrators and
yeah,
publishers, and all these people to help you.
help
I'm,
with the book.
I'm gonna let you talk about that.
Well, so that's kind of, again, I call that's kind of part of the journey, right? I mean, but it started with that event on the 17th, and then the idea coming on the 19th, and then I think you were my first text, Dad. Like when all that stuff, when this came to me in my head, I think I text you. I was like, I had a vision. I got the vision for something. I
Yeah,
want to talk to you about it. And we talked on, like, I think a day later or something, and just talked about everything. But then one of the first things we did when it came to the book is I was, when little Netta was 6, I was 1. And when
yeah,
she went to heaven, when she was 9, I was 4. And so I don't have an actual memory of little Netta. So I don't remember her, or Cheryl, my aunt Cheryl. So I didn't know them. Uh, like, I don't have a memory of them, I'll say. But from what I understand, I used to hang out with them. They used to pick me up, and we used to go to the mall and all this stuff. But I don't remember them. So one of my first steps in the book was talking to you. And
yes.
I interviewed you as my story. I call you my story consultant.
So,
Story consultant, to just learn more about Lil Netta,
yeah,
and share and just get to know her better from your perspective, because you
yeah,
knew her. And
yeah,
so that was really the first step. And then, yes, once I was able to get that information, then yes, you need an illustrator. I was able to get a great art director, a great editor for the book. I ended up deciding to self-publish it through an independent publishing company, my own company, which is Solster, that you see right here. And so that's kind of when it all kind of took off. But I would tell you, Dad, the book was one thing, and that book was successfully published by the grace of God, through God's mercy and help through this whole journey.
yes,
That book was officially published on December 27th of
yeah,
2021. And so, very proud of that. I'm grateful to so many people for all the support that they gave in support of the book and buying the book. It's available now,
yeah,
solster.co/Leonetta. But I appreciate everybody who supported the book. But I think, and I'm happy that the book is out there, because I think now Lil Netta, and her memory and her act of kindness, her story is now hopefully going to continue to live on
yes,
forever.
yes,
And I think the lessons that I think are in it around kindness, having love for each other, having compassion for each other, like, I really felt as though we needed it as a society. We need more love. We need more compassion. We need
yes,
more kindness. There's just a lot of negative things that are around us. And I just think we need a lot more love, a lot more compassion for each other, a lot more kindness. And that was Lil Netta. And
yeah,
so I'm excited about that story and that book being out. But I think even more, right? It's probably even above that, is the concept of really bringing, I'll say, kind of resurrecting, or I call it doing an evolved version
of
of the actual program.
yes,
Because that was
it,
another important part of all of this. And
right,
really, when it comes to Solster, quite honestly, I want every book that gets published to be tied to some sort of social mission. And so that's where it was important to take proceeds from the sale of this book and use it toward a program that would be what's now called the Little Jeannetta Robinson Gifts of Love program. And we had talked about, like, starting another foundation or starting an organization and
yeah,
going. We had talked about some ideas on that, and I ended up reaching out to to United Way. So good old Amy, Notre Dame grad, another ND grad from United Way. And I was actually reaching out to ask her who are maybe organizations that we could possibly partner with on this program. And her response was, you can just, why not partner with us? And so we ended up partnering with them and went on a journey in working with them on a program. And it kind of had two phases, if you will, where one phase around it, and this is what all happened in the last 30 days here. As we work with a number of people from United Way, thankful for, we'll acknowledge everybody in time, but so I'm not going to name everybody. There's a number of people that were all involved.
And the MPS community schools.
And the MPS community schools. And so what we decided to do was have raise money and take proceeds from sell the book to raise money to provide gifts to 3 schools from MPS. They're identified. It was Our Avenue, Browning, and Zablocki. And in total, I believe across those 3 schools, there's, I think, just under or just around 800 students, I want to say. And we ended up, again, by the grace of God, His mercy, we were able to distribute gifts to every child at each of those schools.
Every child.
This past year. Yeah, every child. Again, thanks to every child. And so my dad was present for, I think, 2 of the distributions and
Zablocki and
Our. And then, so we gave away the gifts to them. And in addition to that, all of the children are receiving a copy of Little Netta's gift as well. And so it's about 800 some copies that are going toward those children at those 3 schools. And then the second, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Don't forget you went viral and read the story to the schools, to the whole school.
And so, the schools were kind enough to invite me to do a virtual reading of Little Netta's gift. And so they did it at 2 of the schools. Yeah. And then you actually did one of them.
And read to about 2-3 classes.
Right.
And I saw what you just sent me, a copy of Our Avenue's newsletter.
Yep.
And they got a picture of me with the children reading Little Netta's gift to them.
Yep.
And I had their full attention. There was something else.
Yeah.
Full attention each time, from beginning to the end.
Yeah.
It was just quiet, and they listened, and then we did a question and answer portion of it. It was just well received to be in person, to see their reactions. So
and I'm glad you were able to be there in person. I think that was a critical part of all this, and you being local in Milwaukee. I've had some health challenges, so I haven't been able to necessarily travel and get around and move around as much as I would like to. But I'm glad you were able to be there and be present for those distributions. And the other part of the program was an actual event that we were able to host on December 27th, which is Little Netta's actual birthday. We're thankful for the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center in Milwaukee for allowing us to host it there. So big thanks to is it Miss D?
Yes, Miss D.
Miss D on that. And they were able to host that. And there's some, I think, and I try to be legit and honest and open about just experiences on the show. While there weren't as many people there and as many families there as we expected, and we do hope it grows in future years, and we've got some ideas on how it could grow. I'm still grateful that we did something on that day, and that there were some families, right, who basically we were able to greet, and I was able to sign a book for each and every child that was there. And so
They provided book bags with school supplies.
Right, right. So they were great partners in that, and I don't know. I think with a few tweaks, it'll be an even bigger event.
It is
Uh,
going to.
it'll grow, and so, but I'm just thankful that we were able to do it and honor, little Netta on her birthday, and thankful for everybody. I mean, there are a lot of volunteers that were also there, so big thanks to everybody who volunteered as well, and just thanks to everybody who contributed, by either buying a book or making a direct gift to the
Yeah.
program itself. Yep,
Yes.
contribution. So a big thanks. But that's honestly been the last 30 days. And then
Yes.
after that event, basically after that event, Dad, I came back home on December 28th is when I started mailing out. I've mailed out 350 something packages of books
Yeah.
now. So that's been another part of the journey, getting the books
I
distributed.
understand some people bought many, more than one.
Yeah, there are some families, I mean, who are just very generous and kind and love the story. There are some families who bought 50 copies. One family purchased 60 copies. One lady who just has an extremely big heart, she ended up donating 500 copies to the program. And
Yes.
so over 1,000, so we have 1,000 children who will be getting the book for free, and she contributed 500 of them. And so just really thankful and grateful to her. I don't know if she
Yes.
wants to be publicly announced, that's why I don't want to say her name, but
Yeah.
but a lot of people have been extremely supportive, and we just thank everybody for the love and support of the program, of the initiative, and we look forward to hopefully continuing and growing as we go forward.
And
So
that's
Dad,
what we're now. That's what
yeah,
we're now physically. It's we believe that it's vitally important that you uh, thank people to show appreciation, not just a phone call, not just a text, but an actual letter uh, saying how much you appreciate their contributions, their kindness, their support. It is important that they have that physical letter. Me being an ex CEO of an organization, I know this. When you do things for people, a lot of times you don't get any thank yous. But when you do, you remember it.
right,
You those people who took the time to actually say thank you.
yep.
So always remember, people may help you. Always say thank you. Always show your gratitude.
So
Um,
that be your words of encouragement, Dad. So as we
oh,
get into encouragement,
you've been
so
on here.
we
Been on
reflected
here
for
a
a
long
while,
time.
and I think it was worthy of the entire time. As we
Yeah.
look at, I try to include as we wrap up, kind of some words of encouragement for people as they approach the days ahead. So I'll let you share some words
Well,
of encouragement. I got something I was going to say too.
well, we learned from a little child that it is um, better, and you've heard this before, to give than receive.
Yep.
Uh, from this little child's giving, a whole several two programs started, three,
Right.
even a book became of it for
Right.
children. We touched more than 1,000 children. It's been at least 3 to 4 thousand children that has been touched just from that uh, uh, little Netta giving her toys away because the children said they didn't receive anything. So
Right.
you never know what can become of you reaching out to touch, to help someone, or even just to talk to someone. I'm going to tell a quick story. My mother had a lot of illnesses that she had to deal with, but she didn't let that get in her way.
Yep.
She continued to go and to help and to serve. First of all, she served God, put Him first in your life, and that's what she taught me. Always put God first in your life. Next, it was about serving the people, regardless of age, regardless of race, color, creed, religion. It's about helping and talking and serving people. Here's the story, true story. Uh, she used to go get iron infusions like I do now. Uh, she used to go get iron infusions down at Freighter. And there was a man that would get his at the same time she did each week, that sit in the recliner next to her. And she used to talk to this man and pray for him uh, all the time. This went on for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one time, she actually got to meet his wife. His wife came to her and said, I appreciate you uplifting my husband. Uh, he comes home with a smile every day after his infusions, and tells
Mm-hmm.
this lady that talked to him and prayed with him and didn't even know him. And she came and met Jeannetta. And this lady happened to be the director of Potawatomi.
Okay.
She says, whatever you need, whatever you desire, I want to help you. I want to help your program and your organization. And from that grew a relationship,
Yep.
um, where she ended up donating thousands of dollars to career youth development to help with the children. And it didn't take a proposal. It
Right.
didn't take, all it took was a phone call and a letter, and there it was. Uh, I'm grateful that I've been able to take after her. It's about relationships and people and talking
Yep.
to people. And but you never know who you're talking to.
You never know.
You never know who. And I'm not saying talk to people and looking for something, but give of yourself.
Yep.
Help anyone and everyone that you can. uh, I can say this: you will be blessed. You will, even if it's only you feeling better about yourself for helping someone else. So reach out, and you've heard this before too. Touch someone.
Reach out, touch you. My dad's also a musician, artist, writer,
Yes.
producer, all the things. All right.
Yeah.
So I love it, Dad, and I couldn't agree, couldn't agree more. The thing I'll layer on top of this, just in this moment, right now that we're in, is I think about all the things that led to where we are right now. And there was someone that had an idea or thought that came to them, right? I think about Bishop Daniels
Yes.
having the idea about the highway, but then there's someone then that took action to make
Right.
it happen. And so my encouragement, especially as we're in a new year, there's a lot of ideas. People are inspired in many different ways and come up with, different ideas left and right. And I just really encourage us to continue to have these ideas or receive these, receive inspiration from wherever it comes. But I encourage us to continue to focus on how you act and take action to execute on it. Because, Dad, I think back again, there was an idea for me to reach out to you. But
Yes.
until I actually made that call, until we set that meeting up, right? We had to take action to do it I think that's kind of what's been this journey. It was the idea for the book, but we had to take action to get it done. There's idea for the program, but you got to do the work and take the action to deliver on it. And so I just encourage us as we, enter this, this early part of 2022, continue to allow yourself to be inspired, but also remember that you got to take action. And that's what I would encourage us to do as we approach these days ahead in these crazy times. Crazy times.
Yes.
But all right, Dad, thank you for being on the show. Guest number 2. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you sharing. And I know it's a very sensitive topic, right?
Yes.
It's not easy. But so I appreciate you, being open to kind of sharing your experience and background and the history of a lot of things that I think people will enjoy hearing about. And we'll talk soon. We got many more. We got many more projects.
Let's hope something that we've said today that touched you and will change and help you.
Yeah. All right. All right. Be well, everybody. All right. Say it again.
I love you, Michael.
All right. I love you too. All right. Be well, everybody.